All right, everybody, welcome back to Hodesh Hockey, now unofficially recognized by the LA Kings. But honestly, what a couple weeks, what a road trip for real. Sweeping through Canada except for Winnipeg, where they end up getting a point. The last game that I'm going to cover is the Capitals game, in which we lost 2-0, ending our point streak at 8 games. But if we look at the standings right now, Kings are tied with the Golden Knights for the second wildcard spot. The fact that this team started 1-5-1, if 2 or 3 of those games go a different way, if we eke out a point in one of them, win another, this team's right up here at the top of the Western Conference. And, the fact that that's even close to being a reality is great for this team. It's a lot better than I think what a lot of people are thinking. And I want to go in onto what's been happening, why the Kings have been successful. There's a lot of roster turnover that's going to start happening right now while guys get back healthy. I have some thoughts on that. And without further ado, let's just get into it. So going back to the first game from this last little stretch, we played the Devils at home. This was our final home game before the Canadian road trip. And like a lot of the games that the Kings were winning on this point streak, it went to OT. Follow again will get a goal, game-winning goal, and he's just been lights out. I mean, that second line with him and Danault really has been the key to the success for the Los Angeles Kings this entire time. The first line's really not been doing what we want them to do. I'm going to go over it in a little bit, but Dustin Brown's really been struggling to get on the score sheet. That's affecting Kopitar. Arvidsson was out for a little bit, which meant Kempe went up to the top line. Arvidsson's back. Now we'll see how that changes things. But overall, against a pretty weak Devils team, the Kings were able to squeak out a victory. Which, it didn't get my hopes up too much until the next game against the Leafs. 5-1 game against the Leafs. We just outplayed them. I mean, the style of the game that the Kings are playing right now, it's low scoring, very defensive, and the defense, throughout the point streak was immense. Goaltending especially. Jonathan Quick looks to be back into prime Jonathan Quick form. A lot of people wrote him off. I don't know if I wrote him off, but I definitely was more in the camp of I hope that Cal can really step up. But it turns out Quickie is the one who's stepping up. Cal's been doing okay, but in terms of a 1 and 2, right now Jonathan Quick's the goalie that I want to put out there if I feel like the team needs a win and if I think that the goalie needs to steal it for us. Quick's been amazing. This game right here, just like I said, defense has been the main idea and the main ideal for the team, but they were able to put up quite a few points just by playing 60 minutes of just a hard pressing offensive game. Forechecking has been huge recently, and that really helped us against a Leafs team. And as we'll see, throughout kind of the Eastern Conference Canadian teams that aren't used to playing that kind of style of game, not used to the heavy, hard-hitting, forechecking game, we were able to get some good results. So it was a great game against the Leafs. And then the next night, I was lucky enough to be here to watch the Kings play the Habs. And what a game this was.
What a moment. Philippe Danault. Lot of emotion for him.
In terms of entertainment value, such a great game. Never been to the Bell Center before. It is definitely worth going if you have a chance. The hype is real. It was an awesome experience. The fans there are amazing. luckily for us, the Kings went on and won it. Adrian Kempe with another OT winner. And that's just what Kempe does to the Canadiens. He always scores against the Canadiens. I think there's only been one game in his entire career where he's not scored a goal against the Canadiens. So I wore my Kempe jersey knowing that was a possibility. And in OT, he wins it.
There we go. Kempe, the Canadiens killer, wins it in OT. Thank God. I was a little worried when the game got a little chippy that I was going to get some hate, but fans are great in Montreal. Great game. Let's go Kings. 6 in a row. Be back with you when I go to Ottawa in 2 days.
The rest of the game just, it got kind of chippy, especially at the end. We definitely have to give props to Brendan Lemieux because he's doing his job better than you could think. I mean, he's getting under people's skin. Another thing I've noticed is Blake Lizotte. He takes so much abuse and damage in the corners, and he just keeps going. I can't say enough good things about Blake Lizotte. Again, he's another guy who earlier on I was a little bit skeptical of. Just, are we going to keep going with Blake Lizotte? I see some fans online, kind of wondering why Lizotte's still got a place, but what he can do on the forecheck, the fact that he's willing to go in, battle down low, and either draw a penalty or create a play off of it has been huge for us. One of the tougher moments of this game was Toby Bjornfoot getting burned by Jake Evans for a beautiful goal, and about a minute later getting burned again, only to be saved by Cal Peterson to not lose it late. And as I mentioned, Kempe in overtime wins it for the Kings. After that victory, we went to Ottawa, myself included, where it was less of a fun, entertaining game, but a really nice game for the Kings.
All right, there we go. Win number 2 for me, but 7 in a row for the Kings. A pretty low event game, but you know what? That's what we needed because this was the ultimate trap game. Glad that the boys were able to pull it out late, and look forward to seeing you guys back when I'm at home.
Nonetheless, Jonathan Quick picking up his first shutout. He's looked, like I said, he's looked amazing. That night in particular, super good from him. Again, gets kind of chippy late. Brady Tkachuk doing Brady Tkachuk things. Jonathan Quick potentially got hurt. He was able to stay in the game, which was big for us because he, was a big reason that we won it. Athanasiou picks up a goal here, and Athanasiou is someone I want to talk about just because I'm still not sold on Athanasiou. We see him right now playing on that second line with Iafallo and Danault, and I don't think it's working out for the team. Can Athanasiou put up goals? Yes, but he doesn't drive play. And for a second line that so far this year, whether it was with Kempe on the line or not, that line has been able to drive play better than pretty much any line in the NHL. And when you put Athanasiou in there, he's a guy who needs other players to create for him. I feel like he's not using his speed nearly as much as he should. And, despite getting a couple goals, I mean, honestly, look, I'll take the copyright hit because I just want to show what I'm talking about with this play. And what you're going to see is, Athanasiou just not making the right plays, right? He's turned the puck over twice here, and then he gets the tip, which goes in, which gives him a goal. But, overall, it was a giveaway there that he was, luckily enough able to get back. Bad pass there, and then just good timing to be in the right spot to deflect it. So I'm still not sold on Athanasiou, especially as we're going to start getting players back or have players called up from the Ontario Reign. Athanasiou is a guy who I think at least should be down in the lineup, not on that second line. It gets rid of a lot of the defensive responsibility that line has. But I know that because he puts up goals, people are not going to like that opinion. I think he's going to keep that top 6 spot for a little bit longer. But in my opinion, moving him down or just taking him off the roster, I think would help the team a little bit more. Then we go to Winnipeg, and this one is where the win streak ends. And, last time we played Winnipeg before the win streak started, we looked good and then we just lost it late. This was the exact same thing. Winnipeg just has a little bit too much skill for the Kings to compete with, I feel like. This is kind of another game where Lemieux was definitely involved, getting under people's skin. It was pretty physical, but it was just not enough. Getting 2 goals from the bottom 6 was really good. I think that's been the strength throughout this point streak, has been depth scoring, all 4 lines doing well, except for, as I mentioned, the top lines just kind of lacked a little bit in the scoring department. And I don't know if that's because Dustin Brown, I have a feeling that Dustin Brown kind of needs to be knocked down the lineup. I mean, despite the first couple games of the season, he's really, really fallen off. And it's something that we've seen from Dustin Brown for quite a few years now, where I just don't think he has the legs for an 82-game season. And I think that's hampered Kopitar. It's put more stress on him to really create everything in the offensive zone. I think they looked decent with Kempe up there, but I would really like to see Dustin Brown move down. And I know they tried Arthur Kaliev on that top line. They tried Lias Anderson. I don't know if those are the best guys to go with Kobe, but Kobe and RV can definitely create stuff if they have someone else who can just go out there and forecheck a lot better, enter the zone a lot better. Maybe you put Kempe up there instead of putting him on the third line. I don't know if that's just my homer or my bias to Kempe, but I feel like I just feel like there needs to be a change with Dustin Brown on that top line. And then the last game, one of the more poor games, since that original loss to Winnipeg, just no offense. I think, like I've mentioned, the team defended very well. Amazing goaltending from Jonathan Quick again. And that's really how the games have been going. I mean, it's been 2-1, 3-2 kind of games. We haven't really been blown out as much, at all, really, except for that Blues game. Just couldn't get a goal when it mattered. And, when you're playing a team like the Capitals, even though it wasn't Ovechkin, getting the goal, they have a lot of skill, a lot of players you have to worry about. And at the end of the day, kind of like what I mentioned with the Winnipeg Jets, I just think they have a little bit more skill than the Kings do, and that's why they were able to sneak out a victory pretty late in the game. So, looking at the team as a whole over the past few games, what are my thoughts on it? Well, first of all, like I kept mentioning, the defense has so much been improved. In the last game against the Capitals, really we lost because of Matt Roy just having a bad game, an uncharacteristic bad game. Loses his marker in the crease with Hathaway, and that's what wins the game for them. But other than that, I mean, I just feel like so differently from the last few years, the Kings are able to stay in the defensive zone, not get out of position, they're not allowing too many odd man rushes. It's just been much better as a whole defensively, and then the goaltending has equaled, or if not surpassed, the defense in being able to really win us games at many points throughout this win streak. Players I want to mention, Kupari has really stepped up, especially defensively. I think in the Toronto game, he looked very, very good defensively. Toronto was trying to kind of get Austin Matthews and their big guys against Kupari in the third line as much as they could. And Kupari was able to stand up to it. He was looking good on the defense. Even I want to give credit to Arthur Kaliev, because Kaliev has really continued to grow in the aspects of his game that are lacking right now, which is strength, especially on the boards and on his stick. He was making some really good, stick checks. He wasn't getting knocked down as easily, and that's just, that's why the Kings are playing him right now. He might not be putting up as many goals as you want. He's not getting as much ice time as he probably deserves to get for, the type of offensive player he is, but he's obviously learning a lot by game in and game out and getting better defensively, getting a little bit stronger, reacting a little bit better to the pace of play. And then, for the offense, I think what's been working for the Kings is just the grinding style. going back to that Toronto game, every single goal except for the empty net that was scored was right in front of the net. You see Philip Deneau going into the dirty areas, scoring goals right in front of the net. That's what this team has to do to score. We still are lacking skill that the team is trying to add. We're trying to add it with guys like Arvidsson. You're hoping that guys like Iafallo and Kempe, Iafallo especially has really impressed and grown his offensive game, but we still lack that goal scoring finesse. And when you lack that, you have to make up for it in other ways. And I really like what I've seen from the team, where they just continue to put pressure on the other teams, and they're doing it for 60 minutes. And I think this year they actually have confidence in that. They have confidence to roll 4 lines, which they didn't have in the past few years, because they just couldn't come back. If they were down, they wouldn't be able to score and tie the game and force OT. This year, they've proven that they can do it, and I think that's just added a lot of confidence to the coaching staff and especially the players to know, hey, if we just keep rolling 4 lines, we keep playing our style, we keep being aggressive, working down low, trying to create turnovers and getting the puck to the front of the net, we can actually score, we can actually tie this game, potentially take the lead. And again, with the defense being better right now than it has been, when we get the lead, we're not collapsing. And so again, it's a lot of a mentality change that I think is working in the Kings' favor, because despite players getting better, as I said, Iafallo for sure has gotten better. Rasmus Kupari is getting really good. Toby Bjornfoot has looked so solid defensively. In my opinion, he's kind of eclipsing Mikey Anderson, which I think in the long term is what the Kings envisioned, but I didn't expect it to happen this quickly. But Toby's been, I've talked about him on the offense and how he's jumping into the play, but defensively, despite getting walked a couple times in the Montreal game and giving up a highlight reel goal, I'm really impressed with what he's been able to do. So with the loss to the Capitals and some pretty big games coming up, especially the next one against Carolina, another very good team, it's really going to be interesting to see what the Kings are going to do, how they're going to come out, because right now I think the mentality is very good, but I am worried that this team is still a little fragile mentally, and I don't want to see, a really successful 8-game point streak turn into another 4, 5, 6 game slump. And I think that's a possibility for this team. I hope that it's different because, like I said, during the games, the Kings have clearly had better mindset. You look at the Winnipeg game, for example. They gave up the first goal pretty early. Boom, instantly answered, tie the game. That wasn't happening before. And so I'm hoping that on a grander scale, that can happen where, they had 8 games that were pretty good, getting a point in all of them. You get shut out by the Capitals. They're a good team. Going into the next game, you have to be able to just come back firing. And that's going to be really important for the Kings just going forward throughout the season, but especially coming off such a good road trip, such a good string of games. They really need to keep the intensity. And how do you do that? Well, it's obviously coaching, and I think personnel is going to be a big thing as well. So I talked a little bit about some of the roster moves that I'd like to see, and I also want to address some other things. So I'm going to pull up the AHL stats because Martin Frk is going crazy in the AHL. 20 points in 12 games, 9 goals. I see a lot of Kings fans, kind of wondering why he isn't up in the NHL. To me, I think Martin Frk, just a lot like Athanasiou, he's a guy who, has skill and can put up some pretty gaudy numbers. He can score goals for sure, but I just don't think he drives play well enough. And that was one of my criticisms kind of when Arvidsson came back, was seeing that Carl Grundstrom got benched, because Grundstrom, one, he has skill. He had a really nice goal in Winnipeg where he showed off some of that skill, but the biggest thing with Grundstrom is he drives play. He uses his body. He's aggressive, especially on the forecheck, and that's really been helping that Kupari third line to create offense and, in another way, kind of stop having to defend by, being in the offensive zone more. And seeing him benched, it's just, to me, it was a weird choice because, like I said, I just feel like someone like Athanasiou isn't really a play driver. And so I understand that Athens CU, look, 5 points in 6 games. It's good numbers. I just think the long haul, the style of play that the Kings were playing and what was working for them, I'm not sure if Athens CU fits that. And, it's kind of the same thing with Martin Ferk, where I'm just not sure you can stick Martin Ferk on this team. I don't know if those numbers are going to translate. I think he needs to be in an optimal role with optimal players around him. And I'm just not sure if the team can really do that, because honestly, they have to focus on defense. They have to focus on being a tight checking team, hard on the forecheck, because as I mentioned before, the skill isn't really there throughout the lineup. So you have to do what you're good at. And right now the Kings have proven that they can do it. They can get results by doing it. So that's what I want them to stick to. I mean, you have to evolve, you have to adapt, but I'm just not sure that plugging in a quote unquote skill player, especially a guy like Martin Ferk, who's been able to do this at the AHL level and hasn't really transitioned to the NHL. That's what worries me. And the same thing with Tkachiev. He's done okay in the AHL. I just think from what we saw from him in the NHL, he's just doesn't run play well enough. He needs to have time and space that in the NHL you just don't get. And so I'm not sure if bringing Tkachiev up is going to fix much. And then Velarde, what happens with Velarde? He got sent down to the AHL. I think that's the right move. With Velarde, it seems like it's mental. It seems like a lot of his problems are mental. But I'm not sure what you do with him, because he has to figure it out, and hopefully he can go down the AHL, build up some more confidence, and when he comes back, it'll be like when he debuted for the Kings, and he'll look really good. But something's off with Velarde. It reminds me a lot of Kempe, kind of a player who can just get in his own head and disappear a little bit. So, hopefully Velarde can improve in the AHL a little bit. But I just don't think that's the right call right now to bring him up, especially with how good the team has been doing. If they start to lose some more games on this homestand against some tougher opponents, that's when I think you can switch things up. Maybe try out Tkachiev again, Martin Ferk, those kind of guys. But at the moment, I just think the Kings are winning because they're defensive. They're forechecking real hard. That's what the team has to stick with. And I think that's how the Kings are going to keep the momentum going, because as I mentioned, it's real easy to lose the momentum. The Kings are known for that in the past couple of years. So this is a really important part of the season for them to bounce back from the loss, keep games interesting, keep games close, which they did do against the Capitals. And, they're going to have to fight against some pretty good teams. So that's going to do it. An 8-game point streak. It was a great run, great time in Canada for the team and myself. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, enjoyed some of the in real life footage. And if you did enjoy it, please stick around, consider subscribing to the channel. That would be really helpful. If you liked the video, give it a like. If you know anybody who likes Kings content, wants to watch some Kings content, because there just isn't enough out there, share this video with them. Before I end, I just want to say I am devastated that the Staples Center is getting renamed. Crypto.com Arena sounds awful. I don't think I will ever call it that. I'm seeing the Crypt as kind of a nickname for it, but to me, it's always going to be Staples Center. I wish they at least kept center and was the Crypto.com Center, but money talks, and AEG got a lot of money. Let's see if they invest it at all in the Kings, or if it kind of just goes into their pockets, or just gets used on the Lakers or whatever. But it's a lot of money. I never thought I would see the Staples Center rebranded. I thought it was a lifetime deal. I'm not sure how that works. Do they have to pay off Staples, or does Staples just get screwed out of this? I don't know, but sad times indeed. But, hopefully the on ice product makes us forget about that. We can continue having some good times at the Staples Center, watching the Kings, and watching some victories.
So I don't know if this is because I don't speak French or I'm wearing a Kings jersey, but I ordered a drink and that's how much they filled it.